Hello guys, welcome to Code with BK. So in this video, we are going to solve the problem of printing the duplicate elements in an array or a list. Duplicate elements are the elements that occur more than once in the array, and we will use an example of integer array in this solution. You can use the same idea to solve the problem for array of any other type. Okay, the idea remains the same. So we are going to take a look at the explanation of this solution first, and then we are going to take a look at the codes, right? If you're just looking for the codes, the links to the codes are provided in the description, right? And with each code for this problem, I've also attached a text explanation. So if you're somebody who wants to read and understand, you can take a look at the explanation there.
Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel and click on the bell icon to receive all the latest updates.
So I'm going to solve this using an integer array. So suppose we have an array like ARR is something like. So if we have an array like this, the duplicate elements are, we have 6 that occurs more than once, we have 78 that occurs more than once, we have 3 that occurs more than once, 54 occurs only once, 71, 28, 57, 11. So 6, 78 and 3 are values that occur more than once. So we want an output something like this. We want 3, 6 and 78. So we are expecting the output to be in sorted order, okay? To print all these values in the order they occur, that is 6 occurs first, then 78, then 3, we look at a different method. So this is the output we expect. We'll leave this for now, okay? We need output in sorted order, increasing order. So how do we achieve this is we sort this array first. So this is the sorted array when you sort this array, okay? In this array, we can observe that values that occur more than once occupy continuous indices. For example, 6 is more than once in this array, so it occupies 3 continuous indices. 3 occurs more than once, occupies 2 continuous indices. 78 occurs more than once, occupies 2 continuous indices. So after sorting the array, we can traverse from left to right, okay? Keep a count of how many continuous indices does a value occupy. If it occupies more than one continuous index, we print the value, okay, which is going to print all the duplicate values in sorted order. So we do this exact same thing in our code, all right? So I'll write a function print duplicates. So this function basically takes an integer array. This could be any array of any other type, right? The idea remains the same, and this will print all the duplicate. So the first thing we need to do is sort this array, and I use this symbol for comments in this pseudocode. So I'll say sort ARR, okay? You can use any standard technique. So the kind of sort you choose, it basically depends upon the time limitation on solving this problem or the size of this array. So basically, if you have a very large array, say greater than 10 to the power 3 values, so use any fast sort like quick or merge, right? If you have values less than 10 to the power 3, these should be less than, okay? I'll not say much less than, but less than. You can use insertion or bubble. Then we need to iterate from left to right. So I have I set to 0 while I is less than length of this array, and y. What I do, I pick a value at this ith location. I'll say n is value at ARR of I. I'll say j is set to I. I'll say while j is less than length of ARR and ARR of j is double equal to n. Okay, so as long as there is a valid index j that starts from I and value of at ARR j is same as the value at index I, you do j is j plus 1 and while. So j basically starts at the first copy of this set of duplicate values and stops at the first copy of the next value. Okay, we'll see how this works. Then we can say count is basically the count of the number of continuous indices that this value occupies or any value in this array occupies is basically j minus I. I need to print duplicate values. So if count is greater than 1, print this value at ith index, print n, alright, and then you set I is equals to j because you just skipped all the copies for the same value. So let's see how this pseudocode works for this given array. Okay, the array is already sorted, so we get this array. We start with I is equals to 0. I is basically here right now. So I'll say I is 0. I is less than len of ARR. Len of ARR is 12. So I'll say len of ARR is 12. N sets at ARR of I, N sets at ARR of 0. So n is basically right now 3. J is I, J is also set here, okay, and J is 0. Okay, you say while J is less than len of ARR, 0 is less than 12, true, and ARR of 0, which is 3, is equals to n, which is equal to 3. Okay, so this is true. So you do J is equals to J plus 1, J becomes 1. Okay, J goes here. So I just list the indices as well, 0, 1, 2, 3. J is equals to J plus 1. We are still within this while loop. We check J is less than len of ARR. 1 is less than 12 is true, and ARR of J, ARR of 1 is equals to n. ARR of 1 is 3, n is 3. This condition is true. We do J is equals to J plus 1. J now goes here. Okay, J becomes 2. Okay, we are still inside the while loop. 2 is less than 12, which is true, and ARR of 2 is n. ARR of 2 is 6, n is 3. This condition is false. We come out of the loop. Count is J minus I. Count is J minus I, 2 minus 0, 2. Okay, basically this is counting how many times the value at this index I occurs. Value at index I is n, so basically counting how many 3 occurs. So 3 occurs twice. Okay, so count stores the count of value 3. Okay, the value at index I. If count is greater than 1, this is true. You print n, which is basically the value of I. So our console output we get 3 and we change a line. Okay, and then you set I to J. So I now comes here. Okay, and I becomes 2. We go back to check for the while loop condition. I is less than 12. 2 is less than 12 is true. N is now ARR of 2, which is n is now 6. J is set to I. J is set to I. J is set to 2. While 2 is less than 12, true, and ARR 2 is equal to n. ARR 2 is 6, n is 6. This is true. You do J is equals to J plus 1. J becomes 3. J comes here. You check this while loop condition again. 3 is less than length of ARR 3 is less than 12, and ARR of 3 is n is 6. ARR of 3 is 6. True. You do J is equals to J plus 1. J becomes 4. J comes here. Same thing again. 4 is less than 12 is true, and ARR of 4 is 6 is equals to n is 6. True. J is equals to J plus 1. J comes here. Okay, J becomes 5. Okay, at index 5 right now. 5 is less than 12 is true, and ARR of 5 is 11 is equals to n is false. N not equal to 6. We come here. We set count is equals to J minus I. 5 minus 2 is 3. So basically this count now stores how many times n occurs in this loop, in this array. So n, which is basically 6 right now, occurs thrice. Okay, so if count is greater than 1, you print n. Count is greater than 1 is true, we print 6. We get 6 as the next output. I sets back to J. Okay, so I is now 5. We are still within the while loop. We go back to check for while loop condition. I, which is 5 is less than 12 is true. We store n as ARR of J, ARR of I, which is I comes here. ARR of I is ARR of 5 is n is 11. Okay, you set J is equals to I. J becomes 5. You set J is less than length of ARR. 5 is less than 12, and ARR J is n. ARR 5, which is 11, is equal to n. You do J is equals to J plus 1. J becomes 6. Okay, J comes here. You check for while loop condition again. 6 is less than 12 is true, and ARR of J, which is this 28, is equals to n is false. You come out of the while loop. You do count is equals to J minus I. J minus I is right now 1, basically telling you the count of the value n. So this count is not greater than 1. You don't print n because 11 occurs only once, right? You move 1. You set I is equals to J. I becomes 6. Okay, check while loop condition, true. N is equals to ARR I. I comes here. So n is now 28. N is 28. You set J equal to I. J becomes 6. While J is less than 6 is less than 12 is true, and ARR of J, which is ARR of J is right now here. ARR of J is 28 is equals to n is true. You do J plus 1. J becomes 7. J comes here. 7 is less than 12 is true, and ARR of J is 54 is equals to n is false. 54 is not equal to 28. This loop breaks. Count is J minus I. 7 minus 6 is 1, right? This is basically the count of the value n. So you don't print it, you set I to j, I becomes 7 and I comes here. So like this we go till the end, right? And finally when I is here, right, j starts here and stops here, okay, because this condition will go false in the end. So j minus I in this case will be 12 minus 10, so count will be 2, so you print 78. So this loop basically counts how many times a value occurs in this integer array, right? If that value occurs more than once, we print it, and so we print the duplicate elements. So what if you want to print the values in the order they occur, right? For example, if you want an output something like 6, 78 and 3, because 6 comes first, then 78 and then 3, and these are the duplicates. So this will be an entirely different method, because again it depends upon how fast you want the solution to be. So this solution will be entirely different as well. If you want me to upload a solution for this as well, you can let me know in the comments. All right. So we'll move on to look at the codes to solve this question now.
So guys, this is the implementation of the solution that we just discussed. So I've written a function print duplicates in array that takes the array and the size of the array. In Java, it is not necessary to pass the length of the array because you can always get the length of the array using arr.length. But at times it happens that we use only the first n locations out of the entire length of the array, and so passing the value of n indicates that the first n locations of the array are being used. So I sort the array first, and I'm using the inbuilt arrays.sort method. Then I have my while loop. So this is the value of n, which is the current integer, and then I have the value of j that iterates over all the copies of current integer. We find the count. If the value of count is greater than 1, we print the current integer and then we set I to j. I have written another helper method print array to print the array. So in our main, I have this array. We first print the array and then we print the duplicates in the array. Java C, Java. Alright. So let me add a few more values. Okay, I'll say 11, 100, 2, 57, 6 and 3. Compile, run. Okay, so we have 3, 6, 11 and 57 as well this time. So I hope this video was helpful. So please do like this video and subscribe to my channel. And please let me know in the comments if there is anything not clear to you in this video, or if there is a concept you want me to discuss, or if there is a question you want me to solve. Thank you.